Hey everybody, Mark Schultz here. Mark Schultz here with you this morning, and we are getting ready to go live with our webinar. Let's just get a couple of things set up here, and wanted to thank you for joining us today in this webinar. Looking forward to spending some time with you today in discussions about digital and about digital transformation. Looking forward to it. Just give me a minute here and we'll get started. All right, everybody. Hey, welcome. We're really glad that you're here today. I'm glad you've joined us in the Paperless and MRO, Paperless in the MRO and Aviation Industry webinar. It's really exciting. I'm looking at the participation here today, and we have people that are participating really from all around the world today. I have people in Europe and people in South America and people in Japan and all over the United States at this point. And so I wanted to welcome you, and I really hope that you'll get a lot out of the webinar that we have here today. And it's really exciting for me to be able to meet new people and to be part of something like this. And I'm looking forward to spending some time with you today. Looks like we have quite a few people that are continuing to join on the webinar. So why don't we just give it another 30 seconds or so and give the rest of the people a chance to join. But we have a really great audience today. And I'm looking forward to spending a little bit of time with you here today. So our discussions today are going to revolve around digital and around aviation and the aviation industry. And it's really great to have so many people that have expressed interest in this topic. It's definitely a passion of mine, and I'm looking forward to spending some time with you this morning and having a discussion with you about it. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. Jumping forward here. Okay, listen, this is a live webinar, and live webinars are really great because it gives us an opportunity to really do things in real time. And so I'm actually coming to you from Seattle, the Seattle area today, and in the United States. And I know I said I have people that I'm looking right now at the participation screen, and we have people that are participating from all around the world. But the topic that we're going to be discussing today is paperless operations and digital transformation. Now, I wanted to start out by just spending a few minutes just discussing with you the word digital transformation. And I want to tell you why. Is because I'm going to get into this in a minute, but I've been in the aviation industry for many, many years now. And we've used many different terms in talking about digital and the implementation of digital within our industry. And so one of the most common terminologies that people use in the industry today is paperless operations or implementation of digital or what's my IT portfolio, that we have. And so I just wanted to start out the discussion here today by just leveling on some terminology and saying that this discussion today is going to be around paperless operations. And if I use the word digital transformation, we'll talk about what that really means and how paperless operations are really part of a transformation of your business and part of that digital transformation. But if you look at the screen that I have out there that I've shared, is that the way I describe digital transformation is a complete rethinking of how a company made up of people, processes, and technology will change the performance of their business. And so I'm always going back to those things. And during the conversation that we're having today, I'll be talking about people and processes and technology. And we look at that from both an internal perspective. So internal to our company is that how do the people and the processes and the technology affect what we're doing internally within our company? And how does it affect the delivery of our services in our business to our customer? So that's going to be part of the dialogue and discussion that we have today. Now, I know that many of you that joined today were interested in learning about some of the things that were happening in the industry, and I'm going to get to that in just a minute. But let me just start out by saying that if you've been on webinars in the past and you've seen some things and maybe maybe they haven't been exactly what you're looking for, I'm really hoping that you're in the right place here today. All right. I really want you to feel comfortable that you are here in a place where you can learn and where you can learn about digital, you can learn about paperless technology, and we can learn about some things that are happening in the industry and how do we apply that into business and how does that really become really successful. And so, just engage with me. And, I really want to tell you that I want you to have some good information. So, hey, listen, I see we have a lot of people online here. And so, if you want to just throw me some comments, you can go ahead and do that. But I'm really looking forward to your engagement and being part of, what it is that we're doing here today. I know that we have a lot of things going on in our lives and a lot of different activities, but I'm looking if we can just engage here for about 60 minutes or so and have a good conversation about digital and paperless and how it can help us to be successful in our business. All right, so let's go to the next slide here. All right, here we go. So I know a lot of you are interested in some of the information that we put out, and it was talking about what's happening with respect to the U.S. government regarding electronic records and the transition to electronic records, and what does that mean when that flows down to the FAA, to the regulator in the U.S. And the reason that's important to so many people that are on this webinar all around the world is that the FAA and EASA and JAA and the Australian regulators, many of those regulators set the standards for what happens out there within the industry. And so if you want to be successful in business, it's extremely important that you keep track of what's happening with the FAA and what's happening with the EASA. And so we're going to have a little bit of a discussion here today about what happened this summer in the Executive Office of the President, in the Office of Management and Budget, around the subject of transitioning to electronic records. There are some impending federal deadlines that they have coming up. And then really the FAA is addressing that. And it's important that we take a look at how is that affecting the aviation industry. And so one of the things that we're going to do during this webinar today is we're going to have some discussion about what this is. What is this that I'm talking about? And what it does it have the potential to do to affect your business. All right. So let's take a look at this webinar for a minute, all right? What are the goals of this webinar? What can you really expect from this webinar? Look, I know that you wouldn't be here if you weren't looking for answers, all right? You were looking for information. You want some information to be able to help you in your job, to be able to help you improve what you're doing, to be able to achieve your goals, to be able to be more successful. And so, that's what you can expect, is that we're going to spend some time helping you to get some good information so that you can achieve your goals. In this area around digital transformation and paperless operations, all right? So the next thing is that people are asking, hey, am I in the right spot? Is this really something I should be listening to or something I should be doing? Yeah, I want to make you feel comfortable and let you know that my goal of this presentation is really targeted at certain types of people, all right? And if you fall into this category, you're in the right place, all right? If you're on a digital journey, if you're looking at how do you implement paperless operations, how do you implement planning and production control, how do you implement the things in your business that you need to be able to create digital success in your business? That's why we call this, the digital transformation, webinar, or the paperless operations webinar, because that's really what we're focused on, right? Listen, and there's nobody out there anymore that is at a zero starting point, okay? Everybody is at a different place in their journey. I have this little roadmap there, on the screen, because one thing is for certain is that everybody's in a different place in the journey. You may find yourself in a place in a journey where you're early and you're limited in the amount of technology that you have and you're implementing some new things. There's those that have technology, yet they need to advance it or do more things to make it better and improve it. There's those that have business processes that are good and that are solid, yet they need technology that they really need to apply to those good, solid business processes. I've worked with many people like that. There's those of you that have legacy systems in place, and you're looking at how do we enhance those or replace those, or how do I stay up with current technology, within the industry. And then there's those of you that have very advanced technology in place, and you're looking at how do we add things which will enhance it even further, like maybe analytics, or maybe adding 3D or additional advanced documentation handling or production control or things like that. All right. And so if you're in various different places in your journey, be comfortable that you're in the right place, because everybody's in a different spot. I can tell you right now that there are no two people that are on the same journey in a digital journey. All right. So you can be comfortable that you're in the right spot. Now, if you're a one-person shop, or if you're a big company or an OEM, I see we have people on this webinar that are from airlines. We have people from this on this webinar that are from software companies, from major consulting firms. We have people from really every different possible walk within aviation. And so what I can tell you is that the information that we're talking about is really applicable to all of you. It's applicable to everybody, all right? And the process that we're going to go through, the process we're going to talk about is the same for every single person that's on this webinar. It's just that you're at a different place in your journey. We're all at a different place in the path and where we're going and what we're doing. And one thing is for certain, that there are no two people on the same journey, all right? So let's continue to move forward. Hey, listen, I want to start out by saying that, you know, that some of you, I see there's people on this webinar that I know and you know me, and other people you don't know me. And so I just wanted you to know just a little bit about myself, is just really briefly, is, you know, I've worked with about 200 airlines and OEMs and MROs and software companies over my career. And so I've seen a lot of things, all right? And I've created, you know, new businesses and created a lot of revenue, you know, but let's set that aside for a second. And you've probably seen me on LinkedIn, and you know that I have a lot of background in these areas and background in digital. And so, you know, I've worked in a lot of places. And so let's just set that aside for a minute. But what I want to do is I want to tell you a little bit about myself, really who I am, all right? You need to know why I'm doing this and why I'm spending time, you know, doing a webinar and communicating to you, and what makes this really important, all right, is that, you know, here's a little bit of information about myself. Listen, there's a picture on the slide here of a Ford tri-motor. That's the one that's in the top left there. And the reason I have that on the slide is I was 13 years old, and my father, he took me to the fly-in in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and he paid to put me up in the front right seat of that Ford tri-motor. And I'm telling you what, is that I was absolutely excited about flying in an airplane like that, an old radial engine airplane. It was just amazing to hear the sound of that airplane and when it started up, and just to be able to fly in that airplane and fly around the patch, and to be able to be part of, you know, something that's got that kind of history. And when we came back and landed, I'm telling you what, is that I was hooked on aviation. I was passionately hooked on aviation. I was a very hardworking person, and I was earning money as a young child. And I went and started taking flying lessons, and I was only 15 years old. And that's a Cessna 150 Aerobat, and I flew in a 150 and a 152 is where I started to fly. And I actually soloed and was flying at the age of 15 and a half before I could even drive a car. And so there was this passion that was developing in me for aviation, and I wanted to be part of aviation, and I wanted to be able to help create success in aviation. And so I went on to get my private pilot license, and later on I got a commercial instrument multi-engine, but I also got my A&P license, and I became engaged in maintenance at a very early age and started to understand, you know, flight operations and maintenance, and these things were passions of mine. And I wanted to be involved in aviation and doing things in aviation that made a difference. And I went to college and got an engineering degree, and then I went and I worked for a manufacturer. I went and worked for McDonnell Douglas in St. Louis, and I got to work on the first F-18 Blue Angels airplanes. And it was such an exciting part of my life and my journey. But one of the things I began to start to realize was that there were struggles involved, all right? Is that everything I was doing at the manufacturer or different places I was working, you know, it was hard because we were working from, you know, paper-based manuals, or we were using manual processes that, you know, for doing planning and scheduling of manufacturing for these airplanes. And so it was a struggle. And I started to realize that we needed to have digital in our industry. And so there was this period in time in my life where I started to look at those things and say, what can I do to really contribute, you know, to digital in the industry? And I really started to seriously consider how I could do that. And then I actually, you know, left McDonnell Douglas. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about sort of what happened, you know, in this journey I was going on that caused me to really want to get engaged in IT and in technology, because I hadn't yet. And so let's go down to the bottom of the list here. Is that I told you I was working as an engineer and as a mechanic. And then I actually went to work at Northwest Airlines, all right? And this was a really important part for me, because when I went to work at Northwest Airlines, I was responsible for engineering and technical publications and some shops and writing of task cards the people that wrote task cards. And I was responsible for maintenance training. And it was at that time that I realized that we had these massive amounts of workload to do. And the backlogs would go, they were 10, 20 years of backlog of work to do. And the people that worked for me, we just couldn't get caught up. We were just covered in work to do. And we tried to do things to improve that. We tried to apply technology, but it turned out that it was early in the stages of technology, and it was difficult to do that. All right, and even one time I went through the whole process of justifying getting new computers and getting the latest and greatest things for the technical writers that worked for me. And one of the IT people came in and said, "Hey, I'm really glad you justified that computer. I'm going to take that and go put it somewhere else." And so even when I was working hard, there were things on the outside that were coming in and were preventing me from moving forward. And so I was struggling, and data standards were a problem, and they didn't exist, and clean data didn't exist. And then we went out and bought some computers and some software, and then the manufacturer went out of business. And so it just seemed like all around me there were things that were holding me back from achieving this success in digital and in digital transformation and implementation of paperless operations. And then a very amazing thing happened to me, all right, is that Jeppesen came to me when I was working at Northwest Airlines, and they said, "Hey, we want to start a digital business for maintenance." And most of you don't know them for doing that because it was early in their days. You see, Jeppesen was really good about collecting and aggregating data and then repurposing that data and using it for different things. And so in this case, they hired me to come and start a new business unit. And see, what happened was I went from being a consumer of technology in the manufacturer and in the airlines to now being a deliverer or a producer of technology. And I started to learn about really how could I provide technology to people so that they could be successful in the businesses that they were in. And so it was a very important part and time in my life where I started to see what the needs were for people and what they needed to be able to be able to be successful. But still, there were things going on like software didn't really exist, and technology didn't really exist, and mobile devices didn't exist, and data was a challenge, and the regulators didn't accept what we were doing. And so there was this struggle on this journey, that I was going through. And then I went into the industry and began to do consulting, all right? And when I went into the industry to do consulting, that's when I worked with all these different companies that I got to see what they were doing and how they were performing maintenance and what kind of technology they needed. And I began to do implementation of systems and solutions for all these people. And it was clear that there were obstacles in the way that were preventing people from moving forward. But over the years, the things got better and they got better and they got better. And I found that I finally got to the place where I was able to bring all of those things together, and all the factors had come into alignment and made it possible for me to be able to deliver the right technology at the right time, at the right place for people in the maintenance businesses, in the software businesses, in the manufacturers. And this was the place that I focused on moving things forward, all right? This is where I focused on helping people and creating even further and better success. So that's just a bit about myself and where my passion comes from and some of the struggles that I went through, and I had failures along the way, and I found these new opportunities that existed for me to be able to create success that resulted in being able to deploy transformation for people. I'm going to tell you about some of those. And so let's jump to the next step here. Let's get right into the meat of what it is that you want to hear, what you want to listen, what you want to hear about. All right, so let's go and talk about paperless operations, technology, and electronic records, all right? Because this is what we're all trying to do, all right? Now, I want to say this again, is that many times when I speak about digital transformation, I've spoke about this in the industry, and sometimes people, it doesn't immediately click with them. They're like, well, what is digital transformation? What are you really focusing on, all right? Well, it's different for everybody. But in the area that we're talking about mostly, we're talking about paperless operations, we're talking about the application of technology, we're talking about electronic records, electronic signature, analytics, and all those things that really come together, right? That's the subject matter of what we're really talking about, okay? Now, so what are the things that we're going to cover in the next 30 minutes or so, all right? Why is the current time important, all right? It's important that we talk about that. Is that what does it mean when we're talking about leveraging people, processes, and technology? And really, what are the industry factors that are driving change, specifically the regulators and the FAA and the things that I've talked to you about that are happening in the industry? This is important. So I'm going to build some foundation, and then we're going to talk about those critical factors that are affecting your business right now in point number 3. But let's jump here ahead now again. Hey, listen, I see we got a lot of people online. It's really exciting. I want to thank you for joining, and I'm looking forward to continuing this discussion with you, all right? It's really good. So listen, think about, what is your vision of the future? Where are you really going? Really, what is your digital journey? You know, all of us are on a process right now that we're going through in a digital journey, and we all have to believe in what we're doing. We all have to see the future, and we have to believe that what we're doing can be successful. The most critical thing I've ever seen in the success of anyone's paperless operation journey, anyone's digital journey, anyone's digital transformation was believing that they can do it, all right? And having a vision for the future. And then it's the leveraging of people and processes and technology, which make up the 4 cornerstones, really, of digital transformation. And so it's really important and really critical that, like this jigsaw puzzle that you see here, all right, is that many times I use an analogy. It's kind of like somebody lost the cover to the box, all right? And you're looking at this jigsaw puzzle on the table, and you're saying to yourself, I have so many pieces, I don't even know how it fits together. I'm not even really sure what this is anymore. And then somebody starts working on the edge pieces, and they're looking for colors that fit together, and they begin to put things together, but they still struggle. And the reason that they still struggle is because you need to cast a vision for the future. You need to look ahead and see where things are going and what's happening in your business, and how do you repaint a picture since that cover has been lost, or because we don't know exactly where we're going or what we're doing, and paint that picture for the future, and then begin to put the puzzle pieces in place. Don't be overwhelmed, all right? Don't feel like everything has to all be done at one time, all right? Just consider this to be a big puzzle, and we're putting pieces in one at a time. But if you have the vision, and if you have the picture of where you're going, then you'll be able to advance forward, all right? That is really critical for being able to be successful in digital transformation and paperless operations, is having a vision for where you're going into the future, all right? So next is that, why is the current time so important? I want to talk to you about this for a minute, all right? Technology adoption is moving at an exponential rate, which means that it's heading up so fast that it's practically not even possible to believe how fast things are changing. And unless you look at history, it's hard to even see what's happening, all right? And here's just a little graph, and I know it's a little bit hard to see, but this graph goes way back in history to before there was any kind of digital technology, and talks about the implementation of transformational changes that were occurring in the industry. And as we looked at rail, and as we looked at different things that were happening like electricity and things like that, they made obviously they made very significant changes to the economy and the global economy and what actually was happening in the global economy. But if you look at what's happening a little bit further down in the timeline, you'll see that, then along came computers, and then along came the internet, and they made a big impact. They made an impact that was almost as big as the impact of electricity. But what's happening now is that because we have technology, and because we have computing technology, and now we have applications and software and quantum computing, and we have artificial intelligence, and we have blockchain, and we have robotics and all these things, the rate at which it's impacting us is increasing dramatically. And so you need to understand that technology has not only a major impact on what you're doing, but it has an opportunity for you to impact your business and to make a change. And we need to leverage those things. Now, next is that I use another industry quickly just to kind of give you a short little correlation, is that here's a graph that shows the number of solar installations that are occurring with solar power. And as you can see, it's going up dramatically and rapidly because there's new technology that's being introduced. And so that's like the aviation industry, all right, as well. And then you look at the price of that technology. And what's happening is the price of technology continues to go down and continues to go down, which feeds the growth of that and allows us to be able to implement more and more of that technology. So the current time is so, so important. Now, if you take a look at 2 more graphs, I just have 2 more. You have to look at what's happening with digital technology over a brief time frame since like the 1990s. And it's gone up a little bit and a little bit, But as you can see in the last few years, it's going up so rapidly that we are going to have to catch up. Now, this is really a thing. Now, one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about digital technology in the aviation industry is because we're behind, all right? Is that I've traveled the world. I told you I've seen over 200 OEMs, manufacturers, MROs, airlines, and I've worked there and I've seen what they do. And I can tell you with all confidence today that 80 to 95% of our maintenance that's being performed out there today is really still done on paper or using mostly manual processes. And so we're all trying to figure out how to leverage this wave that's going up in technology. But hey, to make things even worse, this last chart I have right now is the growth of aircraft in the industry. If you look at today, which is where those multicolored blue bars are in the middle, there's about 25,000 airplanes that make up the world's fleet today. And if you look out just a few years into the future, the manufacturers, Boeing and Airbus, are both projecting that the number of aircraft are going to double out there, almost up to 50,000. So if you combine the rate of change of technology, and if you look at the rate of growth of the industry still, and the maintenance of the industry, we have a very challenging situation ahead of us. We have a very significant growth rate ahead of us. The rate of technology adoption, the price drop combined with aircraft growth in the world creates really an unprecedented time in history. There's no time in history where we've had these many changes that are rapidly growing so fast, all around us, all right? And so how do we leverage that? How do we really leverage that? How do we use that to our advantage? How do we turn it into something that's moving us forward and not something that's holding us back, all right? How do we use it like a sailboat uses the wind? How the wind blows a sailboat forward and leverages the power of the forces around them. How do we leverage the growth of the industry to be able to be successful? Well, here, this is one perspective I want to give you, is that I said believing is the most important thing. You need to believe that you can do this. And then next, it's people, processes, and technology. And so we need to leverage the people and the knowledge around us is what we need to do. We need to leverage the people in our organization that know about digital technology, the people that have a passion for it. We need to leverage the industry standards. We need to leverage the experts in the industry. We need to leverage vendors in the industry in order to be able to address these challenges and to be able to move forward more quickly. And the reason I say this is that, listen, I worked as a consultant for many years in the industry. And when I worked as a consultant, we really only had one model. Our consulting model was this, and this is an important part. I want you to listen to this, all right? Are you hearing this? Listen, this is important. Is that when I worked as a consultant, the primary model that we had was get on an airplane, go visit a customer, be on site for extended periods of time, and share knowledge with them that I had acquired from learning from many other customers, all right? From the experience that I had from working in the industry, from the experience I got from other customers, and I was able to help them and share information with them for them to be able to move forward faster than they had ever moved before. But it came at a cost. One time I worked for an airline for 2.5 years, and they paid $2.2 million to be able to do that, all right? And so the knowledge that we were sharing came at a cost because it was very costly to travel. It was very costly to hire people with that limited number of people that had that kind of knowledge to be able to bring them in. But this is why I tell you about this. There is a better way to do this today. Hey, technology is changing to change our business. Technology has also changed in the way that we share information. So there's a better way. We can move faster and further today by leveraging technology, internet, and video, in our own businesses. All right. Hey, look what's happening today. You're on a webinar. It wasn't that long ago that we didn't even have the ability to be able to have webinars. Not only a webinar, but I have people on this webinar right now that are all around the world. I have people in every corner of the world that are on this webinar right now at different time zones, practically in the middle of the night, early in the morning, north, south, east, and west, that are learning from this video. Now, I have a question for you, all right? I have grown children, but when they come to me sometimes and they say, hey, Dad, how do you fix the brakes on my car, all right? The very first thing I tell them is, well, did you look it up on the internet? Did you go to YouTube, all right? Because, I've worked on cars and airplanes and done a lot of things. I've fixed computers, And I used to have to figure it all out on my own in the past, all right? Through 10, 20 years of experience. But today, we have a different situation. You can go onto YouTube and you can say, how do I replace the brakes on my 2007 BMW X5, right? And you find a video that shows you on how to change the brakes on your car, all right? And so technology has changed the way that we do things. If you're living in the old world, you're moving slower, you're not advancing forward, you're not leveraging the efficiencies of what we have around us, and you can go faster and further and do better than you ever have before, all right? And so what we've done, just like I'm doing here right now, is we've leveraged technology to be able to make it available to people electronically in video. And how do you go through the process of doing digital transformation? And it's by using that kind of information to help people to learn that we've been able to help people to move forward faster than we ever have before. Hey, listen, every single day I have video conferences with people and have conversations with them about paperless operations, about digital. Yesterday I was on a video conference with somebody from the United States, and then I was on a video conference with somebody from Spain, and I was on a video conference with some people in South America and in different places. And so every single day I use technology to be able to communicate the knowledge that we have to help people to be able to move forward faster. And we've gathered that together into training programs and systems that allow us to be able to walk people through a process of paperless operations and digital transformation like never before. It no longer requires me every time I need to talk to somebody to get on an airplane and fly to Costa Rica and have a conversation with somebody, because we have other means to be able to do it. So let's move on and continue this dialogue, all right? So you're leveraging people, processes, and technology, all right? You're doing that. And you're believing in what you're doing. You're using people in the industry. You're learning how to improve your processes and apply technology in order to be able to do things faster and better than you ever have before. But also, you need to leverage technology and how you do that, not just accomplishing of maintenance or software development, but in the method of which you're engaging, in which you're learning, in which you're gathering information to be able to move yourself faster, to meet that adoption curve that's really in process right now. Use the winds of change around you to be successful. Okay, let's go to the next. All right, now I want to tell you about people being successful, all right? You might be sitting there thinking to yourself, is that, all right, okay, I know and I understand that I need to apply technology and we need to improve our processes and we need to leverage that, and I get that. But, we look at ourselves and we say, can we really do this, all right? There was a time, like I said, when in my history, when I was working early with companies, and I was asking myself, can we really do this? What are the factors around us that are holding us back, that are preventing us really from being successful, right? And what I'm telling you is that those things have changed around you today, all right? And I want to just tell you two quick stories about companies that have been successful. And the purpose that I'm doing this is that I want you to learn from this. And I want you to learn on how people have leveraged technology to be able to completely transform their business and to do things differently, radically differently than what they did before, right? I have a chart here, which is on the screen right now, which was actually produced by Embraer. And it's a public chart. They shared it at a conference, and so it's okay for me to share this with you. But the difference is that I was involved in this company with Embraer and helping them to be able to create efficiencies and improvements in the accomplishment of maintenance at their MRO, all right? And you're looking at a chart right now, which basically shows their on-time delivery performance, all right? And so they were struggling. I mean, they were trying to get airplanes out on time. They had quality problems. They couldn't deliver an airplane on time. And I even spoke with one of their customers one time, and one of their customers said, these guys couldn't deliver an airplane on time for anything, all right? And then they went through a process. They went through looking at their processes and leveraging their people and learning about how they could improve things. And then they applied technology to be able to implement production control, electronic production control, electronic signatures, electronic record keeping. And you can see from this chart what happened. They went from not being able to deliver an airplane on time to almost having 100% on-time delivery. And I happen to know that they had almost a 42% improvement in their delivery processes. And I verified this by talking to some of their customers. And so what we found is that by using the knowledge of people and by going through the process, all right, the process of digital transformation and looking at improving business processes and evaluating KPIs and leveraging that by putting technology in, they were able to dramatically make a change to their business. And this is a recent application of somebody who's practically doubled, if not tripled, the profitability of their operation simply by doing this. And I can even connect you with the right people if you want to have a discussion with them about doing that, because they absolutely did. Next, I want to show you another one. And the reason I want to show you this particular case is because exactly 1 year ago today, not today, but 1 year ago this month, I was in Bangkok, and I was asked to deliver a presentation in Bangkok really on digital and on digital transformation. And you can see from this chart here, where I circled it here, is that I delivered this paper on being effective and efficient, right? But the core of what I did was I talked about digital transformation and how all the factors that we have been struggling with for many years had come into alignment. Yet a year ago, people were still believing that the regulators didn't completely agree with moving forward with electronic signature and digital transformation. And so what I did was I laid out a process in this paper, which actually was ultimately published by Aircraft IT. I laid out a process where we identified helps for people to be able to step through regulatory acceptance or regulatory approval of their digital operations, and how that could help people to be able to move forward. And I told people that regulators are not pushing you back. They actually want you to be successful, and they're asking for digital. But people didn't really completely believe that. That was a year ago. Some people did, some people didn't. But one person that believed that was Copesa. And I worked with Copesa over the last year, and they're a 10-bay MRO down in Costa Rica, San Jose, Costa Rica. And then just recently, Aircraft IT published a new study, which you can actually get from the Aircraft IT site, about how we had moved them from paper scheduling processes and paper task cards into electronic processes, electronic production control, and electronic analytics, and electronic signatures. And they made dramatic changes. The old became the new. And so Walter Ching, who's a good friend of mine, he listened, and he was enthusiastic, and he was excited about implementing things. And he and his people, they grabbed hold of the opportunity, and they moved forward and implemented new technology. They improved their processes. They worked with their regulators in order to be able to gain acceptance. And in a very short period of time, they made dramatic changes to what they were doing and created these amazing successes. And if you want to see the business case, you can go to my website, or you can go to the Aircraft IT website, and you can see the business case, and you'll see the kind of successes that they made. Now, I only share these two examples with you because they're really all over the industry. And so if you're thinking to yourself that I don't know if I can do this, all right, I'm not really sure. Listen, I know and understand what has to be done. I just don't know if I can do this. Is that look around. There are people all around you that are doing this and that are successful in doing this, and you can do this too. You can become successful in doing this, all right? All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is one of the things that you're all the most interested in is that I mentioned that we did this paper in Bangkok, and we talked about regulatory acceptance and approval, and people were saying, I'm not really sure if the regulators really agree with what it is that we want to do, and it's hard to get approval from them. But I want to tell you something that's changed, because listen, technology has been accelerating, yes. People have been doing this and they've been successful, yes. But now the regulators are not only asking for this, they're now being directed to do this themselves, all right? And so I want to point something out to you, all right? On June 28th of this year, which is only a couple of months ago, all right, the Office of the President of Budget and Management sent out a memorandum to all the federal offices on June 28th, 2019, which basically said, you are being directed to implement paperless processes by the end of 2019. By the end of 2019, are you kidding? That's unbelievable. Is that we're sitting here in the fourth quarter of 2019, and all federal agencies in the US are being told that they have to put in place electronic processes by the end of the year, all right? And then further, they have to have all their paper records and all their records that they have moved into national archives by the end of 2022. So just think about this for a minute. Think about the impact that that's having right now on the regulators, all right? And then basically what happened is, well, so let's take a look exactly at what that really said. It said that they have to make sure that all federal records that are created, retained, and managed in electronic formats with appropriate metadata, all right, they're consistent with record management laws and regulations, and they develop plans for these agencies to operate and move things off to storage facilities, by the end of 2022. And there was an official memo that came out from the Office of the President directing them to do that, all right? Now, let's go to the next stage. And the next thing that happened is that on September 6th, this is recent information. Look, this is only like 4 weeks, a little over 5 weeks ago, all right? In that September 6th, the FAA issued new guidance to all the FAA offices, telling them on what they had to do to be able to comply with that directive from the Office of the President, all right? So you have to think about this for a minute, all right? You've been telling yourself, well, we can wait. We don't need to do this right now. We still have some time. Not to mention all the financial factors, all right? Listen, what happened to Thomas Cook? What happened to WOW? What happened to Monarch? What happened to Air Berlin? What happened to Jet Airways? I mean, those are all operations which, have financially not been able to make it. They were not able to transform themselves. They were not able to create efficiencies. And we do not want to find ourselves in that same position. We want this airline industry to be successful. We want us to move forward. Do not fall by the wayside like those. You need to change what you're doing. And if you're telling yourself that I just don't know if it'll be accepted right now, there are too many outside forces. There's external forces. There's the CFO. There's the FAA. There's EASA. There's all these people that are preventing me from doing this. All right. Listen, this is what I talked about earlier. Is that leverage the winds of change. Leverage the change around you to create success. I'm telling you, what's happening right now is that if you're used to working with an FAA, with a regulator, which has told you in the past that they didn't completely accept all the electronic methods, electronic signature, well, now they are being directed to do that, right? And because they are being directed to do that, they are going to translate that right out to you, and they're not just going to accept it, they're going to expect that you're doing these things, all right? And so let me hear this again, all right? Let me say this to you again, all right? Listen, do you hear what I'm saying? Do you hear what I'm saying? Is that the regulators are being required to go fully digital themselves. They are going to not just accept digital around you, they are going to require that you have digital around you as quickly as what they do. And so the question is are you ready, all right? Is it technology is there, data is there, mobile and hardware devices are there, software is there, quantum computing is there, the regulations are there, the regulators support it. What's left to be done? What's left to be done? What's left to be done is for us to move forward, all right? And it goes all the way back to the 4 cornerstones of digital transformation that I so frequently talk about, which is belief, people, processes, and technology, all right? You need to believe that this is possible, all right? You need to believe that you can do this. We need to leverage people around us. We need to leverage the knowledge around us. We need to leverage the new methods of accessing information and knowledge around us. We need to reevaluate our business processes and create those dramatic improvements like Embraer did, and move forward boldly like Copesa did, and many others all around you, all right? We need to apply technology to our businesses to be able to meet these requirements. If you don't, number one, you're going to have difficulty meeting the expectations of your regulator, and number two, you're not going to have the efficiencies that are required in your business to be able to create success. So what I'm saying is that those external factors really are all in alignment now to push you forward and to be able to help you really to move forward, all right? So, what I'm telling you right now is that it's so important that you hear this and understand is that technology is moving forward, regulators expect it, companies are falling by the wayside, going bankrupt. Unless we embrace this and move forward, we risk being in the same kind of a position, all right? Listen, I want to ask if you guys are okay if I make you a really special offer that will make you guys really, really successful, all right? Okay, listen, I just want to make you a special offer because I want you to be really, really successful. I'm passionate about this, and I just want to ask if it's okay, all right? I want to take a look at the comments here. Is it okay if I make you a special offer to be able to do that? Okay, listen, let's move forward, all right? I want to tell you about something that we're doing in the industry. Listen, we have put together a paperless operations technology and electronic records master class, all right? And the reason that we did that is that I told you that digital transformation, the process of going through digital transformation is the same for everybody. No matter where you are in the journey, the process is the same. It's just what you're doing and what stage you are in the journey or where you are on the travels, to get to your digital transformation is different from person to person. And so we believe that leveraging the knowledge that exists in the industry and bringing that together in a systematic way that people can leverage it and access it moves people forward more rapidly and can keep us up with the pace of technology and with what the expectations of people are all around us to be able to create success for us. And so I want to tell you about what we've done, is that we've created a comprehensive 30-day masterclass, right? And this 30-day masterclass does some key things which were specifically designed to be able to help people to be successful. Listen, your options are you can spend 30 years in the industry and you can learn this stuff, all right? You can do that, all right? Not a problem. 2, you can go out and hire a consultant for somebody paid $2.2 million to be able to hire me. You can go out and hire a consultant. Or you can try an approach, you can use an approach, you can engage in an approach like others have to be successful, where you learn these things on your own and leverage the knowledge of people around you to be able to create massive success within your own organization. Hey, listen, you can contract things out for short periods of time, but you need to learn how to be successful within your own organization. And in order to be able to know how to be successful in implementation of digital technology in this complex environment, there are people around you to help you. There are people here to help you. And we've gathered that knowledge and we've put that into this comprehensive masterclass. And we start out in the beginning by helping people to believe, right? And then in the next week, the format of what this looks like is we have daily training basically that people can go through day by day to be able to help them in this digital transformation journey. And at the end of 30 days, you actually have a product or an outcome that is actually deliverable to you, that you've actually learned, and you have documents and you have processes and you have RFPs and you have business cases. And we basically teach you and walk you through how to do all those things. We help you to create a vision for your industry and how to leverage standards and how to address your business processes in your business and how to look at technology out there in the industry and how to really manage a team and how to have a project plan and how to manage a business case, how to identify what your key performance indicators are and how to prove to your CFO that what you're doing is actually successful. And if you haven't been through this before, or maybe you have been through this before, all these things are designed to be able to help you to accelerate your journey and to be able to keep up with the industry and to be able to move forward, all right? And so we have put together this class and we've used high-value, knowledgeable, experienced consultants, myself and my business partners, to be able to create this knowledge and put it into a form which is deliverable, in video and we offer helps within the process to be able to help you to be successful. That's the super special offer that we're offering. And you're asking yourself right now, well, what does that cost? All right, what's the investment? Well, listen, the regular investment in this, if you looked at all the time that it takes, if you look at the 30 hours of video training, if you look at all the time it takes for someone to work with you to be able to do this, the value of that is over $10,000, all right? We're not gonna charge you that. We're not gonna make that offer to you, but that's what the value of it is. Now, if you were to go out and hire a consultant for a month, just 1 month, it would be one person would be over $50,000 a month, all right? And so when you look at the value of something like this, it's really very small when you're looking at how that compares. Now, the next thing that we do is that we bring in live mastermind broadcasts. You've probably seen some of my broadcasts that I do. We do many more of them within this program, which enable people to be successful. And we address very specific digital transformation and paperless operation challenges to be able to help people to be successful. And so if you stack that up, that really comes to a value, again, that's over $14,000. Next is that, listen, I know that a lot of times people don't know where to start. They say, well, where do we start, all right? And so what we do is we gather all the people together that are in this journey together, and we get together in a group strategy session, a group coaching session, a mentoring session to get a start. And together, we talk about strategies of getting going and getting started and how you evaluate things before you even head down that journey. And so that's an outstanding way that we found where we can help people to get a kickstart and to be able to get going and moving forward. And then next, we add content daily, weekly, and monthly. And so the way that this works is that our masterclass has a series of training and a series of videos that exist in the masterclass. And then what we do is over the course of the month, as we learn what challenges people are faced with, we on a regular basis address those things in video, and then we publish them so that everybody that's on the journey together can see what it is that's being done and how people are being successful and how you too can leverage that knowledge and those things to be successful. We do that on a daily, on a weekly, and a monthly basis as it comes up. So are you guys seeing how valuable this is? I mean, this is coming up to like over $16,000 in value. And it's really pretty amazing because you can access this information, you know, for a very dramatically less opportunity investment than that. But next is that, you know, what if you have questions? Well, what if along the way you need to have things answered? Well, we have forums that exist out there on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and we have email support where you can reach out to us and we can help you as you're going through this journey. And so, you know, think about this, is that what we've actually done is through the experience of working with so many different people, we've identified the key methods and processes for success for you to walk through paperless operations journeys and to be able to do this. And we've put those into a program where you can learn and you yourself can build confidence in yourself and in your organization and your ability to not only execute the first time, but to be able to execute on an ongoing basis continuously as your organization changes and transforms, all right? And then there's one additional thing that we did, is that this is an optional thing that we put out there for people, is that we actually have tools out there that actually help you to be able to develop an ROI, to be able to build process flows, to be able to put out RFPs or to develop a business case. Now, some people need those things and some people don't, so we put some things into this that are optional that you can secure. But we've tried to figure out all the things that you need to have to be able to be successful. The knowledge, the support, the coaching, the strategy, the tools, and to be able to package those together into an approach so that you will be able to be successful, all right? And here's what we're going to do today, is that I want to let you know that the value of this, if you were to go out and procure this, is well over $50,000. But if I added up all the pieces that I've talked to you about today, the value of that comes to $16,500, all right? Now, would you like to see what we want to do, how we want to help you? If you want to see how we can do that, how we can help you out to be really, really successful, we're going to slash that. And our normal offer that we give this to people for is normally $49.97. But today, on this webinar, for the next 30 minutes, we are actually going to offer this program to anybody who's on this webinar who wants to take advantage of it for only $19.97. All right, now you think about that, is that this kind of information has never been available before in the industry. I know of nobody that's doing this in the industry. If you want help in going in the direction that you're going, the only options is for you to learn this over a long period of time or to go hire consultants to do this. There's nothing like this in the industry that's available to you. And so this investment in your business and in your future and in your knowledge of $19.97 is not available anywhere else out there. We're making it available to you right now for the next 30 minutes on this webinar only. And the reason I say for the next 30 minutes is because what we're going to do is, for the next 30 minutes, we're going to basically answer questions. And so if you're ready right now, if you're excited, and if you're psyched up at this and you say, I need this, I need to do this, this is something I don't want to pass up, all right? I'm going to save all this and I'm going to be successful and I'm going to make this happen. Then you can just feel free to go there right now. Just jump onto your computer and go to paperless.digitalaircraft.org, and there's actually some more information there. You just enter your name and your email, and then you can get some additional information about the details of the program, and then you can jump on right now and you can have access to that information as early as today. All right. Now, but for the rest of you, if you're not quite ready to go yet, let's have some discussions here, if we could. I'm going to start this little bit of a countdown clock, because we literally are only going to do this for 30 minutes, all right? And so I have a countdown clock going, which is now at 29 minutes, and we are going to have a discussion and question and answers, right? So I have some questions that have come up and that have been submitted to me, and the first one here is about price. Is it, you know, what about the price, all right? is this really worth what it is that we're doing? All right. Well, here's all I can tell you is that I tried to explain that that I actually have been hired many times by companies, MROs, by airlines, and many times my billing rates were $350 an hour, all the way up to $350 an hour. And one airline, literally over 2.5 years, paid $2.2 million for me to be able to help them to be able to do this. All right. Now, I'm not saying that this is worth $2.2 million, but I can tell you that if you hired one single consultant for 1 month, that you would pay $50,000. And maybe in 1 month you'd be able to get done what you need to get done, but it's probably over multiple, months. And so you might be looking at $150,000. And so a great alternative to what it is that you want to do and how you can be able to create success in your business is to be able to take this hybrid approach, right? Is to be able to take all that knowledge. Listen, I told you, it was like with my kids, is that you want to learn how to do something, you jump onto YouTube, right? And you learn how to change your brakes, or you learn how to fix your computer. And, and now you have the ability actually to jump onto our membership site, okay? And you have the ability to be able to learn on how to do digital transformation in your business, how to do paperless operations. And so, the investment here is so small compared to the value that you're going to get, that we wanted to make it so that everybody could do it. We wanted to make it so that everybody could make this and make it successful. Now, you might ask yourself, well, how is it that you can even do this for, $19.97? All right. It's because we do it in groups. All right. It's because we have multiple people that are involved. We don't do this for one person. And that's how we can scale. That's how we can leverage. And we can create such valuable information that's used by a wide scope of people. And you have the opportunity to be able to access that and to be able to get that information. All right. Next question I have, let's see here, is I'm not sure that my organization can change, and we have challenges in belief. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So let me address that. All right. So one part of the program that we have, there's two parts that respond to that. All right. One is that we spend an entire week talking about belief. Let me tell you about the most successful implementation that I've ever seen. All right. My good friends down at TechOps Mexico. All right. I worked with them to do an implementation at the MRO down at TechOps Mexico in Querétaro, Mexico. And I can tell you that the main single factor for their success was the CEO was absolutely committed to success. He believed that he needed to do that. All right. And that was the main factor on why they were successful. There was others which we can talk about at another time, but that was the main factor. And so what we do in this program is we start out by helping you to believe. We start out by talking about belief and how do you build belief? How do you build belief in your leadership? How do you build belief in people around you? Because you need to believe in what you're doing. You need to express belief and enthusiasm, and people around you will believe and they will join in with you. And that's an important part. So believing in it yourself is an important part of creating the belief in people around you. All right. Next is change management. All right. What is change management? Change management is not just technology change. It's the implementation of change and process change within your business. All right. Digital transformation is the rethinking of people, process, and technology, and the transformation of your business, all right, from one place to another. Now that causes change in your business, and people need to embrace change, and they need to engage in change. And so another really important part of this program that we have is helping you to walk through the process of how do you manage change? How do you manage change in technology? How do you manage change with people? How do you help people to be able to adopt to new change? And so, yes, that is an important part, all right? But I'm telling you right now, just think about this for a minute. Listen, yes, that will help you, but think about this for a minute. I told you that the regulators are now moving forward fast. There's not a lot of people that are going to be able to prevent you from moving forward, because there's going to be demands all around you. When your regulator shows up and sees that you're using paper a year from now, they're going to say, "Why aren't you? What are you doing about that? What we had to change over to digital. What are you doing?" All right. I mean, think about that. You are going to be forced to do something that you don't want to do, maybe in the manner which you don't want to do it, or maybe in the time frame you want to do it, unless you do this on your own. Get ahead of it. Leverage the help that we have. that we can help you to be successful. Don't let somebody else force you from the outside into doing this, all right? We're here to help you. We're here to help you be successful, all right? Next, somebody said, what about the cost of implementation? The cost of technology and implementation is so much that it's hard to afford, all right? Okay, listen, I want you to think about this. We actually have included in this program, if you choose to take that option, is business cases. And the reason that we develop business cases is because we want you to be successful in developing a good business case, as opposed to one which doesn't work, all right? In the past, you might have had a failure where you maybe wanted to implement technology and you wanted to implement a business case, and you based it just on technology. And maybe the end result was the technology didn't deliver the return on investment that you were looking for, and maybe you were criticized. Maybe the CFO said, we did that before, we're not going to do that again, all right? I've had those things happen to me, all right? And so what's really important is you focus on the key performance indicators that will deliver the return on investment. When I told you about a company like Embraer that had such dramatic return on investment, the return on investment didn't come from technology alone. The return on investment came from them working their business processes, applying technology, and in the end demonstrating that the cost of the technology was only a fraction of what it was that they had to that they got in a return, right? Last year I worked with a big MRO. It was a 10-bay MRO in North America, and we did an implementation, and we created a situation where they had $10 million a year in savings, right? And I can tell you that they paid less than 10% to be able to implement that, right? And so you need to be looking at the cost of your operations and how you fund your implementations out of your operations, out of the cost of your operations. And we're going to help you to understand how to do that, how to create that business case, and how to be successful in doing that, all right? Let's see, next. What do we have? So let's see, we have not the right content. How do I know it's the right content in the system for me? All right, okay, that's a really valid question. Is it how do I know the content in this is the right content for me? All right, well, I can just tell you is that I've worked with OEMs, I've worked with airlines, I've worked with MROs, I've worked with software companies, I've worked with parts distributors, I've worked with all kinds of different companies. And what I can tell you is the process that they've gone through to apply digital transformation has been the same, no matter what kind of a company it is, all right? They look at belief, people, processes, and technology. And what we do is we walk you through understanding how to do that and understanding how to be able to apply the process of digital transformation and of paperless operations to your journey, all right? You will be at a different journey than somebody else. Some people will be very early in a journey, others will be in the middle, and they'll have other systems in place. And what we're experienced at doing is helping bring in other partners to be able to bring in information for you to be able to understand, how to progress in that journey. But that's all part of the process. It's part of the process of casting the vision and identifying the key performance indicators and reevaluating your business processes, and then looking at what your requirements are, and maybe sending out some RFPs and doing some implementations, and managing change management. But all these things are things which we know are critical parts of the journey and are part of the process, and we put these into the program to be able to help you really to be successful. So through the knowledge that we've acquired by working with so many different companies, all right, we've learned really how to do this. And my business partners, one of my business partners is Larry Little, and he was with Boeing, I think, for almost 40 years. And I have other partners out there that we use and leverage, and they have been in this industry for a long time. And collectively together, not just myself, but the people that I work with, we represent a knowledge base which is not available anywhere else really in the world. Is that I talk to software companies all the time. I was on the phone with a major engine manufacturer the other day, and the gentleman I was speaking with, he said, nobody that I work with knows anything about aviation, all right? And I thought, how is that even possible, right? Well, the thing is that people come up in businesses and in worlds where maybe they focus on smaller, narrow parts of the business. Maybe they focus on development of technology for an engine blade, or different things like that. And many times people don't have a broader understanding of the industry. And so you need to leverage the knowledge and the experience of people that have it, trying to do what it is that you're trying to do. And that's why we've packaged this content into this program, is just for it to be possible for you to be really, really successful, all right? Are you guys getting some value from this? I hope you're getting some good information from this, all right? Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear that. Good, good, good. All right, next. Someone asked again about the regulators. Is it, can you help us with more information about the regulators and getting regulatory approval? All right, yeah, absolutely. Listen, I have actually done regulatory approval in a cockpit. I've done regulatory approval for ground operations, putting things into ops manuals for an airline. I've done regulatory approval with maintenance. And so it's really been all across the board. I've had quite a bit of experience in helping people to secure regulatory approval. And what we've done is we've combined that knowledge and that experience into this program to be able to help you to understand what to do, right? I mean, the regulators are looking for nothing more than safe, efficient, cost-effective, air travel, and they want that you're able to demonstrate to them that what you're doing digitally meets the guidelines that have been put out by them in advisory circulars and in some of the regulations that are out there and the record-keeping regulations. And they want to just understand that what you're doing, all right, is better than what you were doing before on paper. Number one, that you're meeting the guidelines and the regulatory requirements. Number two, that it exceeds the paper processes that you had in place before, right? That's as simple as what it is. And what we are able to do is we're able to help walk you through operational approval processes and documents that you need to submit and how to really go about doing that. Having done that so many times myself, we've gathered that knowledge and are making that knowledge available to people so that you don't have to go through that all on your own. Yeah, you can go talk to somebody, you can ask them what they did. That's a good way to do it. That's one thing that we encourage. We encourage people in this program to talk to one another, to be able to share knowledge, and to be able to help one another to be successful. That's the whole idea of creating synergy, of sharing knowledge. And in addition to that, we continue to incorporate that knowledge, into the programs that we have so that it's available to everybody and they really know what to do to be able to create success, right? And so the content is really designed for different people, and this content about regulators was specifically designed to be able to help you to be able to achieve regulatory approval or acceptance, depending upon the terminology that you're using. But the one thing that I'm going to guarantee you right now is because of the directive that's come down from the Office of the President, and because of the FAA's guidance that they have to implement digital on their own, they're going to be running. They're running right now. They're trying to get things done by the end of the year, all right? And I'm just telling you again, they're going to look at you and say, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you moving off of paper onto electronic, all right? And so get ahead of the game, all right? Leverage the help that's available to you. Leverage our help to be able to help you to do this and get ahead of this and create success before it's forced on you, all right? So let's take a look at the next one, is virtual, all right? Someone says, can we really do this virtually? All right, well, let me just say this, is that I've been meeting virtually with people and working virtually for many years now at this point. All right, now let me just say this. I mentioned earlier in this webinar that in the last year, I think I traveled 480,000 miles. All right, I went from place to place to place, and I visited people and I saw all kinds of different operations. And in the last 3 years, I traveled about 1 million miles, visiting people in different businesses and helping people to be successful in digital. And what I've found is that is really, I'm sure you can believe this, but that is really, really super hard, all right? That was very hard on me. I slept 2 or 3 nights a week on the airplane. I spent a lot of time in hotels. Last year I was gone 265 days from home, from my family, all right? You do not want to do that. You do not want to spend that kind of time and effort, gathering knowledge and information, all right? And so really, leveraging virtual information where you can in a hybrid kind of an environment is just a smarter way of working, all right? Going online, doing a search on YouTube, learning how to do something, researching it is a smart way to do things. We need to completely change what we're doing. Listen, I want to take you out of what you're currently doing. You're currently in a paper operation with manual processes, all right? I want to move you into a whole brand new opportunity. I want you to be able to see that there is hope for your future, right? Is that you can control your future, you can move forward and be successful we're creating all the things that you need to be able to help you to be successful, all right? And using virtual and using digital is a major component of doing that, is a major element in leveraging knowledge to be able to create success, all right? And then, listen, there may be a time when you need some on-site consulting support and help, and you know, we do that, other people do that, but you can get that, all right? You can learn, you can go visit people, you can go visit some of the customers that we've worked with and see what they've done and really learn how to do this. But I can tell you right now is that your time and your effort and your cost and your travel will dramatically be reduced if you leverage all the things that you can out there to be able to create success, all right? And yeah, you can go hire somebody, you can go hire a consultant, one consultant to come work at your facility for $50,000 for a month, and you know, and they'll give you good information. I'm sure they will, all right? But there's other ways to do it, all right? You need to consider more effective ways to do it, all right? Let's switch out this opportunity. Let's go from where you were into a new opportunity, which says there's a new way of doing this that nobody else is doing out there in the industry. I don't know of anybody else that's doing this out there in the industry. And so this is the place on which you can change the direction, change the course you're on, and be successful cost effectively. Listen, I know that MROs are operating on 3 to 4% margins, all right? And you don't have a lot of extra money to be able to go out and hire people to do stuff like this. So we're giving you an opportunity, a way to be able to do this that's never been offered before, and you need to take advantage of this. You will not be disappointed in doing this if you do this, all right? Next, I have a question here that says, this is just too hard. It's too hard to do. Well, okay, I understand. I know what you're saying. I have been there, right? I was in a position when I had not worked with all these companies, and I understand how difficult it was. I just seemed to struggle. People took my hardware away from me. I made decisions that weren't the right decisions. Some of the applications weren't successful. A manufacturer went out of business. I mean, those things kept happening to me. The data wasn't clean. The standards weren't there. The hardware broke. It cost too much. I mean, all those things were struggles and challenges. But you have to hear this, is that those factors have changed. The technological factors have changed in the industry. There's enough people that have gone down this road already at this point where you can be successful, and all you need is a little bit of help. That's all I needed, was I needed a little bit of help from people around me to be able to help me to move forward. And I have always been about that. Listen, one of the things that's always been in my character is that, you know, let me tell you a quick story because I just want you to understand who I am. Is that I was young and I was in high school, and I was not, you know, I was not probably the best student. I mean, I worked really hard and I got good grades, but I didn't really apply myself, right? And I had a shop teacher. I had an auto shop teacher who recognized that I had some talent. I had some skills with my fingers, right? And he knew I was getting in trouble. And he came to me and said, hey, we have a small engine overhaul class, and I'd like for you to be my teacher's assistant in the small engine overhaul class, right? And what I found was that I was good at it. I was good at tearing down engines, putting them back together again, and getting them to run. But not only that, I was good about teaching other people to do that, all right? And that was something that I learned about myself that I didn't know before then. And for many, many years now in my life, I found that I am satisfied and fulfilled, and I learn more when I help other people to be successful. And so part of what drives me in what I do today is, yeah, I have a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience in the industry doing these things, but I want to help other people to be successful, right? Because I'm passionate about aviation, and I want our industry to be safe and effective and cost effective, all right, and have high quality. And I don't want us to go the way of the airlines that have gone out of business, or the MROs that have gone out of business. I mean, every time you turn around, there's somebody that's going out of business. And it's going to happen faster because there's so many technological advances that people are going to begin to take advantage of that. And the market, I think, is going to consolidate. Now, listen, one of the big challenges, I had some friends, I didn't get to go to MRO Europe here this week, but some of you did. And I had a friend that got back to me and he said, hey, one of the big things that was being talked about was the big shortage of labor, the big shortage of mechanics out there today, all right? And it's not just a shortage, it's getting worse and worse and worse out there, and it's going to impact the industry. Well, let me give you something to think about, all right? I visited MROs last year over and over and over again. I hardly found a large MRO that wasn't short 100 people, all right? Hey, in every one of those cases we talked about, and we found ways to implement efficiencies that were greater than 10%, all right? Greater than 10%. And what's the impact on labor? Yeah, are you getting it? Is that they were able to actually reduce the number of people that they needed and eliminate those shortages. And one company not only eliminated the shortages in labor, but they were able to actually grow their business, add more lines of maintenance, and not even add new people or add less people, right? So if you're struggling with the shortage of labor in your business, digital, efficiency, business process improvements, I have seen this over and over and over again impact the business to be able to create success, all right? And listen, I know this is hard. I know that it's difficult, but other people all around you are doing this. You can do this. You can be successful. We need to believe, we need to leverage. Again, I'm going to tell you this again. Leverage the wins around you. Leverage the growth in technology, the drop in price, and the momentum that's coming from the regulators that are saying, we need to do this ourselves. Hey, we're going to make other people do this too, all right? You know that's going to happen. And so, listen, it's going to be easier and easier, all right? It is easier than what you think. Many times accomplishing something is just a matter of perspective, is that believing that you can do this and actually making it happen and leveraging the things around you to be able to help you to move forward and to be able to create success. Okay, we have another question here. I don't really know where to start. Okay, all right, that's another good one, another good one. That's why we added into this program a group coaching, a strategy session, okay? And it's really, really important, right? Because many times people are a little bit frozen. They don't know where to go or what to do or how to start. And so just work with me on this for a second. This is where we go on the program, right? Is that we start out by getting together the people who are going to enter into the digital transformation journey. We do a group coaching session. We talk about challenges that people have and what is it that's preventing them from moving forward. And we share ideas, not only from the experts that I have on my team, but also from the people that are in the group. And the end result is that we're able to help each other to be able to create strategies to be able to move forward. Because remember, everybody's at a different place in their journey. And when everybody's at a different place in their journey, they're all going to have slightly different requirements, all right? And that's why what we do in this program is that we constantly add new information into the program, because the group of people that are going through the program are going to have slightly different needs and requirements than the previous group that went through. The process that you're going through is identical, all right? We go through the same process, all right? We look at people, process, technology. We look at key performance indicators. We look at business processes. We look at needs and requirements for technology. We look at business cases. What's going to give the best return on investment? How do we really get started? How do we look at options in the industry? What's good? How do we bring in vendors to be able to show information? Listen, all of this process is applicable to everybody, whether you're doing a transformation of a maintenance business or of an airline or of a software company who's evaluating the requirements of your customer, or whether you're a distributor or a variety of different components. And so many times people are like, well, we've failed before and it wasn't successful and people don't believe. It's hard. I got to get approval from my CFO. We don't have time. All these are things which are struggles for people. But listen, there's struggles in every business, all right? And what we found over and over again is that if you give people a good organized path and approach to doing something with milestones and discussions and strategies that are part of that it becomes easier, all right? And it's not so hard. And we help, if you don't know where to start, we say start at the beginning, all right? Start at the beginning and let's move forward. Let's do this, okay? And so we give you a path and a process to be able to help you really to be successful, all right? Let's look, we have another question here. I struggle with my organization in wanting to just remain status quo. Okay, all right. So I have seen that so many times, all right, is that many organizations, they just don't take the initiative to move forward. They say, we're going to do it. We're going to do it next year. You know, we have something on the books for 2020, for 2021. We're going to do it. I don't think you have a lot of time left, okay? You know, we need to get moving forward faster at this point, all right? Is that I'm telling you, with the growth of technology and the costs that are involved in your business, okay, people are going out of business. And, you know, you can say, well, we've been making it so far. All right, well, how much longer? How much longer can you make it? What happens when the next downturn in the economy comes? You know, will you be efficient enough to be able to be successful, to be able to continue to make it? All right. So we need to create efficiencies in our business that create profitability to the bottom line. All right. All owners and CEOs and founders of companies know that we need to have, you know, profitability. We need to have growth. We need to have revenue growth. All right. You know, we need to be able to deliver quality. We need to be able to deliver on time and schedule. And every one of the things that we're doing here in the industry with digital transformation are all helping to achieve those goals. All right. There's not going to be any room for status quo. And if you sit status quo, there's a possibility that two things, you know, could impact your business. One, the finances could get so adverse that it could drive you, you know, out of business. All right. Or number two, the regulators could come in and say, why aren't you doing this? I want you to do this. We're going to set some deadlines for you. Right. Now you might think, well, how can they do that? Well, it's just going to happen. I mean, you know, is it when people have requirements imposed upon them, then they begin to set expectations for people around them. And so, you know, you need to position yourself to be able to be successful, and don't let the factors around you drive your business. You know, don't let the regulators drive when you're going to do something and when, you know, and how. Do it yourself. All right. So set your own path, set your own course. All right. Hey, listen, these have all been, you know, really, really great questions. We're coming down into the last 2 minutes of our 30 minutes. And so I'm going to tell you again, is that the offer that's on the screen is to go to paperless.digitalaircraft.org and jump onto our offer to help you. You will not regret it. You will not be disappointed, because this is something we're making available in the industry that is not available anywhere else. And if you do this, and it will enable you to be successful in your digital transformation journey. We guarantee it. We guarantee that you will be successful in your journey as part of this. And so I'm looking forward to working with you, because I've worked with so many people in the industry. Is that what I've found is that I really enjoy connection with people. I'm looking forward to working with you and understanding your business problem, and how we can work together to help solve, you know, your journey, how we can apply this process of digital transformation to your journey to allow you to be able to move forward faster and further than you ever have before. All right. And, you know, we want you to create success. I want you to be successful. And this is the opportunity for you to be successful. Get out of paper, switch into going into digital. Use this process. This is the way to do it. This will take you there. You will be able to get there in this process. Leverage the knowledge of people around you. Leverage the knowledge of people that we'll be working with together in order to be able to help you to learn and to move forward faster than you ever have before. Don't be driven by external factors, all right? Yes, I know you've struggled before. However, this is the right solution for you, all right? And you can do this, all right? You can be successful. And don't let the things and the factors on the outside affect, you know, your success. Create your own success through this program. I'm looking forward to working with you, and go ahead and jump on the URL paperless.digitalaircraft.org, and I'm looking forward to working with you. Thanks for joining us today on this webinar, and I'll close this out the way I close every broadcast out that I do. I say fair winds and following seas to you, because what I want is I want you to use the winds of change to be able to move you forward to be successful, and leverage that so that you can be successful in your business and you can be happy and be satisfied in the things that you do. Hey, listen, have a great day. Goodbye.